Today we're going to talk all about design and what your party's going to look like when you walk in. So some of my brides can picture a complete empty room and walk in and see it and visualize it, but most can't. So my job as a planner is to paint the picture for you. So as you're walking through as a guest, you know what you're going to be seeing and what you're going to be feeling. So the first thing that you're going to need are the hard goods, such as tables, chairs, anything that is going to provide a structure for your reception. And if you're in a hotel, if you're in a tent, whatever structure is over you, you need to start with tables and chairs. And there's all different types of tables and there's all different types of chairs. And you can see different numbers at each table. So for example, a 60-inch round, you can get up to 10 people. A 72-inch round, you can get up to 12 people. You can do a 60-inch square. We use serpentine tables a lot. There's a lot of cool things that you can do these days. And Pinterest has really given brides a lot of design ideas, which can be really unique and fun. So when your guests walk in, they're not seeing the same party over and over. So once you have your hard goods identified and you start playing with your floor plan and your logistics, you want to think about your flow, but also the design, keeping that in mind. So usually after we have our hard goods, the next step is looking at the flowers. And depending on where you live and what season you're getting married in, you're going to want to take that into consideration. There's some flowers that we just can't get where I live depending on what month it is. So usually there's a really good substitution. So for instance, in April or May in Tennessee, we really can't get peonies. So we might substitute those out for garden roses. They're very, very similar. And when you start looking at color palettes and what's in season and what's not in season, then you can start to really pick out your linens once you identify the colors of your flowers. So in the South, a lot of times the girls are really, really traditional, and so they'll go really, really subtle on the linens and get that color pop and that wow factor in the flowers. So once you choose your flowers and you start to look at your linens together, you can really start to see it coming together. Usually I tell brides you should really do a mock table. So a lot of times when we're doing a tasting together, I'll get the linens, I'll get the flowers, we'll get the vases, the candles, everything that your guest and you are going to see when you walk into your reception, so that you can really understand what you're paying for and what you're going to get. Sometimes we do a mini version of it just for budget purposes, but that's your time to really reflect and make sure that you love it, and if you want to make changes, you're able to make changes. After the linens and the flowers, then we go on to lighting. And lighting's been fairly new within the last 5 years. When I first became a wedding planner, lighting didn't really even exist in the wedding industry. But now it's come such a long way. I have clients that spend more on lighting sometimes than even the flowers, depending on what type of venue we're in. So if we're in an old warehouse and it's really, really dark with no windows and no natural light, lighting can be very important, not only aesthetically, but also for your pictures and for your video. So a lot of times I'll have brides that want a really, really romantic feel with their lighting, and during the reception, the photographer and videographer will come up to me and say, "Can you please turn the lights up? It's so grainy, and yes, I can Photoshop it or I can fix it in post-production, but obviously when you have good natural light, things are going to look much better." So do keep that in mind if you feel like the light is too bright. A lot of times we'll do all of the special things that happen, such as the formal dances, the cake cutting, things like that in the earlier part of the night. And then once we really get into the dancing and the band or the DJ kicks it up, then we really start to bring it down. So be sure to ask your lighting specialist to put all of the lights on dimmers so that you have the ability to make it brighter or take it down a notch. A lot of guests don't like to dance in the bright lights, but lighting can really, really go a long way. In the South, brides love monograms, and so there's something called a Gobo, which a Gobo is a little slide that projects onto a wall. It projects really anywhere you want it to. It doesn't really look good on drape unless it's really, really flat, or spandex that's pulled really tight. So again, look to your lighting specialist and make sure that you have adequate light. mainly for the important things. If you're on a budget, think about the important things that need to stand out, such as the head table, the cake table. Usually doing perimeter uplighting can really make a room glow. A lot of times we turn down the can lights and the existing lighting and chandeliers depending on the venue. We don't always use those. And if you are outside in a tent, be sure that you evaluate the power needs, and you might need to have a generator just on backup. There are a lot of lights out with technology these days that are their battery powered lights. They're a little bit more expensive to rent, but the quality is much better and it doesn't pull any power. So these are things that you're going to want to ask if you do not have a planner. The next big thing after lighting is drapery and props. And again, depending on your venue, that'll really lend to what you will want to rent. I even have some brides that need furniture for their new house, so they'll go and buy tables and chairs and china and flatware and glassware and rugs and bring these props to their event, which is great, but you always run the risk of someone spilling something on it, which has happened a couple times, so just keep that in mind. But I do think that it's special if you can put your money into something that you're going to be able to keep in your home and use it later on in the future. But then I have other clients who just purely want to rent just for convenience. They really just want to show up. So whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy, just know that there are different ways that you can spend your money in your rentals. And not all venues need drapery. So it's not always a necessity. Sometimes we use it just to cover something that's really ugly, or it doesn't really look right. Sometimes we'll frame a doorway with it, and other times I just have girls that want to simply make the room more romantic. So just with a few sheer panels, it can really, really brighten up a room. And again, lighting is very important. So if you're going to use draperies, such as in a warehouse, be sure that you have lights on it. Otherwise, it's just going to go away, and there's really no sense in paying for it. The last big thing that you want to look at is furniture. And I have a lot of clients that love cool big chairs for their head table. So that's something that you can really look for. And again, you can purchase it. You can use it at your dining room table if you want to. The big trend lately has been the Mr. and the Mrs. signs on the back of the chairs, which are really cute. But again, if you find some really cool ornate chairs that really stand out, that can really differentiate you from everybody sitting at the head table and all of your guests. So when you are thinking about your design overall, think of those 3 adjectives and what you want your guests to feel. And what do you want to feel when you walk in and whenever you walk out. And whatever those 3 adjectives are going to really, really lend you to where you need to spend your money in terms of design. So consider those adjectives, and good luck.